Hey guys, Marsengan here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we got an announcement much earlier than scheduled about some upcoming EZAs for part 1 of the anniversary. These will all be going live on Monday morning, UK time. I think it's like midnight on Sunday PST. So yeah, obviously UK is like 8 hours ahead of PST, so it'll be like 3 in the morning EST, something like that. So we're getting the Broly trio, Paragus and Broly, and then Bardock and Gine. So we're going to go and do the showcases for them here over on the private server and check them out. Obviously the EZAs are live, everything is in Japanese. So I do have the details up here on the Twitter. Shout out to the Dokkan wiki. Shame they got such a terrible sticker effect, because like it's cool that this card doesn't have the horrible diamond background, but then it also means they don't really have like a card effect to get the to get a good sticker. But so according to the wiki, so their super attack is now massively raise attack and defense in 1 turn, does supreme damage to the enemy, raises all allies attack and defense by 22% for 2 turns, self-excluded. So they now have a 2-turn support buff on their super, really good. Then their passive skill, attack and defense 122%, Ki +4 and an additional attack and defense 122%, and recover 22% HP if HP is 50% or less from the start of the turn once only, when there is an ally whose name includes Goku on the team. So the Ki for an additional 122 stats is when there's a Goku on the team, and the recovers 22% HP when 50% or less is once only. Then they get an additional attack and defense 122% when there's another bond of parent and child ally in the same turn. They get another 122% attack when there's a movie boss's enemy, and they get a Ki 4 and 122% attack and a guaranteed crit when facing an enemy whose name includes FRIEZA. So it was kind of funny with before they got their EZA, obviously they didn't have, you know, there wasn't a lot of crazy FRIEZA stages, but now we have the Red Zone Golden FRIEZA is the new like final stage for the movie bosses 2 EZA. So we are going to go ahead and try them out here. Now the first stage, obviously the enemies aren't movie bosses, so Team Goku, God Goku's not going to be getting his buffs or anything. Alright, so they have 204k defense start of turn. On this rotation, we only have Saiyan Warrior Race, Saiyan Pride, Saiyan Warrior Race, Prevent for Battle, Fierce Battle active. But remember, they are going to massively raise defense on their super, which is 100%. I think that is it in terms of the defensive buffs, though, right? Because they don't get... Oh, it's when attacking when there's a bond of parent and child ally. So yeah, they're then going to get 122% defense because they're on rotation with the Goku. So on super, they're about to get like, what, 420, 430k defense. So they're going to go up to well over 600k, which not crazy for some of the tougher bosses, but obviously for this first phase here, we will of course be completely fine. So we'll go ahead and do this. And then of course, remember, we have the active skill, which unfortunately EZAs can't change active skill conditions. So the active skill hasn't actually changed at all. You could see there when we were in the menu, the active skill part was actually still in English, because that part of the card won't change. It's still a thing with like Dokkan's code for whatever reason. The way it's been explained is like, or at least the way I've heard it explained, is if they change characters, with the way the code works at the moment, if they change a character's active skill condition when they EZA, it would change for the card, like for the pre-EZA'd version as well. So like you wouldn't even have to do the EZA, but once the data download was in the game, the active skill condition would change for the card already. Which, I mean, even if that is the case, I don't understand why that's an issue, because if you have the cards, you're just going to EZA them anyway. So why does it matter that the condition has changed, like pre-EZA? It's not like you're going to keep them un-EZA'd, because a lot of the cards are unusable without the rest of their EZA anyway, and it's not like all of a sudden, because only their active skill has changed, that the card is now suddenly good. Like, I don't really understand. I don't really get it, but anyway, it is what it is. So active skill conditions can't change, which is why there's no details for it on the actual wiki post, but we can obviously see in the menu when we look at the card that it's still in English, so we can see what it does, which is another multiplicative buff that lasts for 2 turns. It's 22% attack for all allies for 2 turns. It also removes all allies' status effects, which is an underrated ability when you think about the number of bosses that we have in the game that are able to do things like sealing, attack lowering, rotation locking is a status effect that can be removed with that ability as well. So that's really, really useful. And it gives the attack buff as well. Their super attack, remember, gives the buff for 2 turns. So everybody on this rotation now has that extra buff from Bardock and Gine on the previous turn. Now, obviously, for a showcase setting, we're keeping them on rotation, which you wouldn't normally do on this kind of team. You would be running them as a 3rd slot floating unit, which they're not providing. They're a weird kind of support unit, right? Because they don't provide support with their passive. So if you're running them as a 3rd slot floating unit on the Movie Heroes team, they're technically only supporting the rotation after them, because their super attack effect, if they're in slot 3, obviously isn't affecting anyone on the turn that they're on. But then everybody on the next turn gets the buff. And then it's only their active skill, because obviously you're using it at the start of the turn, that'll affect everyone on the turn that they're on. The people on the next turn are going to get a crazy buff when you use their active skill, because their active skill gives the 22% buff to everybody on the turn, but then the active skill buff plus the super attack buff, 44% attack for everybody on the next rotation. So that next rotation is going to be hitting crazy hard, which will be very good. So, right, now we're against FRIEZA. So now this is where we're going to get, we're against the movie boss, so we get another 122% attack. And then we get 4 key and another 122% attack, as well as a guaranteed crit, because we're fighting FRIEZA. So I wonder how they would actually do, like, how well will they tank? If he supers them, we probably will die. This FRIEZA's got to be a movie boss, right? Because, yeah, we could do this. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and do this. Obviously, they're going to auto-super. So they should be able to get a pretty good attack stat here. We'll do this, and then obviously Gogeta in slot 3 will have the higher dodge chance. Right. 15.5 million. Okay, that's pretty good. So yeah, you definitely want to go for additionals for them, right? Because they're massively raising attack and defense. So if they got another super, that's another. They get another 100% attack raise. So that's pretty crazy. I was about to say, does he count as a movie boss? It must do. 99k is still a lot, even for like a God Goku character to take, right? For this God Goku specifically, right? With this damage reduction. But I think it's definitely more than that if you didn't count as a movie boss. Yeah, space traveling warriors, the way the description is on the wiki is it's like characters who regularly travel through space, which is weird. Because, yeah, like Frieza, Broly, and Paragus in that movie specifically traveled through space to Earth to fight Goku and Vegeta, but they don't count as space traveling warriors for some reason. Don't really get it, but you know. Right, we'll keep floating Gogeta here. Obviously, we're not really here for... well, I suppose, to be fair, he's not going to come back for a couple of turns, so we might as well transform him now. Not very often that you would see Gogeta getting floated in these kind of team setups, but obviously it's only because we want to keep Bardock and Gine on rotation so we can see what they do. Now the tricky thing is we do want to take some damage because the Bardock and Gine active skill it is HP restricted, so we do need to start taking a little bit of damage here. But hopefully, like Birdku, ideally with the first attack of the turn he gets hit with isn't a super, because he should take some damage in the middle slot here. He does have his guard, so it doesn't matter that FRIEZA is in, but we would ideally like him to take some damage here. Oh, that wasn't very much damage, was it? Yeah, well, we all know Dokkan categories are bizarre, right? So Alright, so... Now, the thing is, we definitely will be in a bit of trouble here if Bardock and Gine get supered. It's a bit of a shame they don't get a lot of extra defense with those buffs as well, because considering they're a support unit, like, they're only getting attack, extra attack when you're fighting movie bosses and a FRIEZA. They really could do with extra defense, because the only downside for this unit, really, looking at their kit again, is they don't have any defensive tech, right? They're getting a bunch of raw defense on super. They do have that healing ability, which is nice, but it doesn't stop. Like, on a turn like this, if we get super attacked by FRIEZA in the middle slot, we will die. So, best case scenario for us, obviously, is that he super attacks God Goku, but we'll see how that plays out. Because, yeah, them eating a super here would be very bad. And now, obviously, remember, we saw they're up to 15 million attack stats against the FRIEZA. That's with, like, 3 links active. And they have links that, whilst a bit more tricky to get active, things like Saiyan Pride, which is, like, a really good attack link. Of course, they get guaranteed crits against FRIEZA as well. Of course he is. Of course he is. He couldn't be supering anywhere else on the rotation, could he? Wow, 2 million damage. Okay. Alright, so we're on the superheroes team with the double Orange Piccolo leads. I have just used the giant form for Orange Piccolo to make sure that we don't get supered here. So we're going to go ahead and use our active skill with Gine to get the buff. Now, God Goku's not the hardest hitting unit in the world, but we should see a pretty solid attack stat out of Bardock and Gine here. We'll get the 2 rainbow orbs to see what Goku can do. And then we'll grab these. And Orange Piccolo, he's got a bit of build up so far, but we're only going to get his 12 key super. I imagine we do finish, we will finish the fight this turn, because remember, Bardock and Gine get guaranteed crits against FRIEZA. Although he does have a lot of health, but yeah, obviously God Goku's not going to take any damage. We used the Orange Piccolo transformation, so we shouldn't get super attacked. I actually don't remember if he supered during the transformation, because we were doing stuff in the chat, just trying to get back to this point before I started recording. But yeah, 18.9 million. That's with no other support on the rotation. So imagine if we had like a support unit in slot 3. And then, yeah, their additional normal will be a guaranteed crit as well. Does 300k. See, then they take 47k damage. This is the problem, I think. Their biggest issue is the lack of defensive tech. Because, like we saw in the very first clip, like this FRIEZA will kill them with a super. But as we're trying to get back to this point, even like the int FRIEZA does, I think it was like 500 and something k to them. So like they will take a lot of damage on some of these rotations. Which I think is a bit of a shame. Like, there's only really this event, right, where you're going to see their full buffs where they're fighting a FRIEZA enemy. So I do think that they should have thrown in like defense on top of their attack buffs, right? Because against all these tougher bosses, if they're on a rotation where they have Cold Judgment active, they can tank, they should be able to tank like all normals in the game post super. But unfortunately, when it comes to all the actual big, like difficult bosses, they are going to die to super attacks from them, which is a little bit unfortunate for a unit that you kind of just want to throw on the team as a third slot floating unit that's giving a bit of support to the next rotation with their super attack effect. And then ideally you drop below the HP threshold, you use their active skill, give everybody a nice like big attack buff. But then, you know, those of you who've been at the streams and everything, you know, my luck with like the enemy super attacking the worst possible unit on the rotation is pretty bad. And they very much are a unit that can get taken out by some of these harder hitting bosses. Even before you get to the final phase, they have the potential of getting caught out, which is a little bit unfortunate. Because I like this unit. I was hoping they'd get a good EZA. Any unit that's Bardock related, I obviously like it when we get a bit of an update for them. Like on my global, I already have them link level 10 with like a spare SA5 copy. I mean, the EZA is definitely not bad. Like damage-wise against the FRIEZA, I mean, we've seen them put up some pretty big numbers and they get guaranteed crits, which is obviously nice. But I think the teams that they're on, like superheroes, movie heroes, you don't really need another unit that's just doing a big attack stat in this FRIEZA fight. Because with how hard FRIEZA can hit closer to the end, you obviously ideally want more units who are going to be capable defensively. But I mean, this is still quite a good rotation. We can get Cold Judgment active here as well. Because with his countdown, he shouldn't be able to super them. So we're at 275k defense start of turn. So yeah, they're like well over 800k defense when they super, which is good. Because if we do this, Mai doesn't have to risk us getting hit here. His countdown shouldn't... Does it finish? Will it finish this turn and he super attacks Goku? Not sure. But yeah, I mean, their damage is definitely good. But I'm not sure that's necessarily what you need on the team. The support is obviously nice, but I really wish they'd gotten some sort of defensive tech, like building up dodge chance or building up damage reduction with each attack or something like that. Full additional, definitely the best way to go for them, right? You want to get a double super so you get another 100% raise. I don't think we've gotten to see that, unfortunately, throughout the run here, but we've had a couple of additional normals, which against FRIEZA will be guaranteed crits, so they still do okay damage, but yeah, I think we might actually get attacked by this FRIEZA. I wonder how much God Goku takes. He does like 8 million damage, apparently, so I think God Goku does actually get killed. He still takes 1.7 million. That's crazy. Alright, but yeah, Bardock and Gine, they can be pretty good. They're obviously not like... I wouldn't say they're like a top tier EZA. They're definitely good, but top tier, I'm not too sure. Let me know what you guys think of them down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.